everyone. Welcome, Ekabo, Uno, Sanu. Welcome to Tourism Virtual Summit 2023. And my name is your humble Nene-Uwa Fakoya-Smith, popularly known as Ajala Nene in tourism space. So today we're going to talk about something that I am very passionate about, ecotourism. We do not promote it as much here in Nigeria, and I brought in experts who are doing amazing things in the ecotourism space, promoting green tourism, because the theme for this year's World Tourism Day 2023 is tourism and green investment. So I'll be going around to ask all our speakers to introduce themselves and tell us what they do in the tourism space relating to ecotourism, and then we kick off with our questions. Speakers, all right then, ready, set, go. Let's start with the woman in the house. Sorry guys, I'm being biased here, but I have to allow my woman to go for it. Aisha, please introduce yourself and what you do in the ecotourism space.
Okay, thank you very much, Nana. Hello, everyone. My name is Aisha Yusuf. I am a group CEO. I'm the group CEO of Hayche Multi-Service Solutions. What we do is we provide multiple solutions in different industries. But most importantly, in the tourism space, what we've been able to do is create a campaign that's supposed to help encourage sustainable tourism. So first of all, part of the solutions we provide are solutions in hospitality and tourism. During the time that we've worked with people, what we've realized is that people have to learn how to appreciate and help sustain the ideas of tourism. And what we did was that partnering with Go Green businesses, supporting them with management solutions, communication solutions in order to amplify their voices. And we've been a few things. I'm sure we'll get to know during the session. But thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much, Aisha. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. All right, so let's go to the next person. Mr. Tunde, please kindly introduce yourself, sir.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Tunde Morakinyo. I am the Executive Director of ANI Foundation, or African Nature Investors Foundation. We basically work in two places in Nigeria. We work in Gashaka Gumti National Park, which is Nigeria's largest national park in Taraba and Adamawa states on the border with Cameroon. We also work in Okomu National Park, which is in Edo State. And in both parks, we have a 30-year agreement with the federal government to protect and develop these parks. And we aim to make both of these parks one of Nigeria's foremost tourism destinations. We are determined that over the next few years, these parks, both Gashaka Gumti and Okomu National Park, should become household names and places that every Nigerian wants to come and visit and is very proud of nationally and internationally. But a lot of groundwork needs to go into making these parks ready for ecotourism. But yeah, very, very excited to be on this call. And I'll tell you more about what we're doing in Gashaka Gumti and Okomu over the course of the next hour. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tunde. I really admire what you do in the ecotourism space. It's not easy, especially working with government. It's a big issue, but I know and I like what you're doing. I'm looking forward to you sharing more. All right, so the next goes to Mr. Pelu. Please, sir, introduce yourself and what you do in the ecotourism space.
Oh, I didn't hear you clearly. Hi, everybody. This is Pelu, Awofeso. I'm known more in the industry as a travel journalist. On the side, I also report the arts and the creative sector of Nigeria generally. Over the years, I've traveled extensively in Nigeria, writing different books in the process. I'm currently working on an anthology of travel writing focused on Nigeria. And also in the past couple of years, I've been interested in the environment. And in 2014, I co-founded what we call the Beach Samaritans. And what the Beach Samaritans does is to work with volunteers in different parts of the country to clean up public beaches, wherever they can be found. We've done that now for 7 years. We're growing strong, even though there's been like a break because of so many recent factors, including the pandemic. But we hope to get back in a different and bigger way. Um, in terms of the environment, I've also been able to visit a couple of green spaces in Nigeria in the past 1 year, with the purpose of writing different stories about them and to make them more known. Because let's face it, this country is richly blessed in everything environment. And it's such a shame that most Nigerians really have no idea that we have all of these green spaces. And so my work and my job as a journalist is to ensure that we propagate these spaces more. And it's such a pleasure to be able to discuss more about this subject as part of the activities that you are hosting to mark the World Tourism Day in 2023. Good to be here.
Thank you so much, Mr. Pelu. Thank you very much. I followed your journey as you were exploring the whole of Nigeria and all the beautiful places that you have been to. And it just shows how blessed we are with a lot of eco blessings, if I can use that word. So I'm looking forward to sharing more. Letting you ask me to share more of what you saw during your trip around Nigeria concerning ecotourism. Then last but not the least, my brother, Oga Bethel, please introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you. My name is Bethel Moseglad, from Mambila Plateau. Let me put it that way. I'm the CEO of Nature Connect. Nature Connect is one of the fastest growing tourism brand in West Africa. What we've been doing over the time is majorly destination promotion. And we've done that with Mambila Plateau, making it known over the time, having a lot of discovery and letting the world know what we have in Nigeria on the Mambila Plateau alone. And currently now we are working on doing more. So we are about to make Okemesi Ekiti known as a place to think of when we are thinking of ecotourism. This community has a lot to offer when it comes to responsible tourism. And in due process, or in a short while, the whole world will be seeing what we are cooking. I'm happy to be on this show. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bethel. Like I said, me too, I'm inspired what you did. I remember what I saw with you on TDP Adventures when you guys went on the hiking to what was the name of that highest mountain again that you did with TDP Adventures? Sorry?
Shapawadi.
I didn't get the
Shapawadi, which is in Gashaka Gumti National Park.
I need to go there. Like I need to. I wanted to follow Fumi, but unfortunately, timing wasn't there for me. So I love that. So let's go straight to the point now. Let's start asking questions. I know we're talking about green tourism. We're talking about how it's going to help not just us as individual tourism promoters in our own space, but nationwide. That's why this topic is about investing in green tourism in Nigeria. That's the summary of this all. So if I may ask, in 1 second, can we all define what ecotourism is and sustainable tourism? Because if you're talking about ecotourism, let's talk about sustainable tourism. So can I start with you, Mr. Tunde? What is ecotourism? What is sustainable tourism? How do they all intertwine?
For me, ecotourism is about tourists visiting nature, be it mountains, forests, going to see the ocean, maybe scuba diving, hiking in mountains. It's a form of tourism that is low impact. So low impact in terms of pollution. When ecotourists go out into the countryside, they make sure that they don't leave rubbish in the area. That it's a form of tourism that maximizes local employment. So local people and local communities are stakeholders in that ecotourism and get a revenue from that ecotourism. And it's tourists who are going to see nature. So they're not going to hunt wildlife. They want to go and take pictures of wildlife. They want to experience nature and really enjoy the natural beauty of whatever country they're visiting, but in a sustainable way that contributes to the local economy and enhances the wildlife and the natural habitats they're visiting, rather than having a negative impact on the on that environment, or a negative impact on local communities. So it's a beneficial form of environment of tourism that's also benefiting the environment and local people at the same time.
I like that definition. So you're saying it's enjoying that nature and at the same time preserving it, because we can enjoy nature and mess it up. Like I remember when Mr. Pelu, I think you remember we did the beach cleanup and planting of trees one time in Badagry. Fumi and myself went together to do that, and I saw that people were just messing up the beaches. We had to clean them up. So, Mr. Pelu, can you also define your own definition of ecotourism and sustainable tourism and how they actually combine?
Okay, well, in simple terms, my definition would just include both ecotourism and sustainable tourism, because they are one and the same. And I'll just give you the definition as given by the Ecotourism Society, which simply defines ecotourism as responsible travel, that conserves the natural environment and also sustains the well-being of the local people. So it's basically people traveling in a responsible fashion, like you just cited. Why would people go to a beach and litter the entire place? Why would you go into a nature reserve or a national park and throw trash all over the place or the wildlife that you find? There are instructions when you visit these places, protected areas they are called. So it's basically you as a tourist, going to these different places and behaving responsibly and respecting the nature that you find, respecting the wildlife, and also respect the local indigenous community. So you're respecting two things or three things: nature, the people, basically, and being responsible. That's basically what ecotourism means, and also sustainable tourism.
I like that. It's being responsible, combining what we have, enjoying what we have, and being responsible with it. So, Aisha, I don't want to ask the same question, because of course we don't want to waste time. But with this definition that Mr. Tunde has given and Mr. Pelu have given, what are the economic and social benefits of sustainable tourism? Okay, and how can we develop market ecotourism packages in Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much. Now, from what they've talked about,
Who is
certain
that
things. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can
Yes,
hear you.
we can hear you, Aisha. Please continue.
Okay, thank you. So, as I was saying, so from what they've talked about, the important thing that stands out is responsible usage of spaces. It's already been defined that ecotourism is that go-to space where we're looking for conservative environments that we can enjoy. For me, what stands out is that responsibility that we have to take on as people, the responsibility of also the locals to ensure that they protect their spaces. And, to also, for me, what we've been doing and what really stands out as well is education. So one thing to the awareness, the ownership, and then education. For me, those are the things that would amplify the message that we're trying to put out. Because the idea of sustainable tourism is to ensure that ecotourism actually works, propels, is sustainable, and does what it could do for any country, which is of course internal revenue and all that. But sustainable tourism has a way of making positive impact in society. And the reason why that is important is because, when an economy is an economy of this, is a destination and they rely on tourists for this, there are different aspects of it. And, it involves also minimizing the negative effects, and once you minimize the negative effect, the beautiful thing is automatically you're maximizing profit. So while you're maximizing profit, we're looking at how can we create and conserve this effort? How can we create more jobs and conserve it? Because, the important thing, why are we doing all of this, is to get more people to come in. So, and then what was the second part of the question? How to market it?
So I was asking, how can we develop and market ecotourism packages in Nigeria? So at least to promote these things that we have, these natural blessings we have.
Okay, great question. Marketing it is my favorite part because I only like to market what I enjoy. what I see, and how people should feel. It's really about the experience. So in marketing it, we must be able to, if we're selling a particular narrative, we should be able to showcase that narrative. We should be able to create a step-by-step process that when anybody actually comes to that destination, it blows their mind. It's even much more than they expected, you know. And for me, charity begins from home. It begins at home. So we start with our local communities. What are the little things that people can enjoy? You know, how can we make that pleasurable? What are the extra things that people can learn from that environment? What is the history of it? So I feel that by the time we're telling the best narrative, we're packaging it properly. We're using the right platforms. We're using the right channels. We're targeting people based on their needs, maybe based on the demography. Certain people who are younger would appreciate certain sites more than other people who are older. So those target areas, those target communities would help us in marketing strategies. At the same time, ensuring that it's not outrageous, because that's what we see when we talk about travel within Africa. It's almost ridiculous. Like you would like, oh, maybe I should try a different continent. Now, I've been an African traveler and I've been trying to promote a lot of travel within Africa. And I use that hashtag African traveler when I'm out doing all these things. But the idea is we must first own it, you know, from our local areas to our states, to federal, national, and then take it continental. I think from when we own it and we push it, it's a great start. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that, Aisha. Thank you. I'll come to you, Bethel, the same question with us because you're behind the scenes. You're the one that packaged these stores. Like I remember last time I saw Ayomide and the other young tourists, they were on the rice plantation. And I was like, what is this Nigeria? And you were like, yes, this is Nigeria. How have you been packaging those stores, marketing them, and what have been the benefits for you as a tourism entrepreneur and your locality where you're promoting?
Oh, please come again. I didn't get that question.
Okay, so the same question I've asked Aisha. What are the economic and social benefits? Okay, so how have you been packaging them and marketing them at your own side?
Okay. I will come this way. What I've discovered that one of the problems we're having with tourism in this country is that people don't really know what we have. When we push out some pictures, people will be asking you, is this Nigeria? Before I even hear the word Mambila, that's when I got to Taraba State. That's in 2015. So people don't really know. So the best way we can come about this is push it out by all means. Use social media, use all means possible to let people know what we have. I could remember taking guests to the information center of Gashaka-Gumti National Park, and the information we got there, they were so surprised that we have all these kinds of animals in that park. So people don't really know. The best way to push out to them is to let them know about this information. When this is done, it is easier for them to visit. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bethel. And I must commend you for the work you're doing in promoting that area, because even me, I claim I'm a tourism person. If I did, having people like you has shown us that these are blessings that we have and we need to promote them rightly. All right, so I'm going to go to you, Mr. Tunde. Why is it important for us to protect our natural resources here in Nigeria? And what are the challenges that we face in trying to invest in the Nigerian ecosystem and as well as the ecotourism system? And if we're actually investing, that if we are actually, is it enough? Has it been able to do much in the great space?
So, I mean, I think a number of important points. I think when we talk of tourism in Nigeria, there's an elephant in the room, to use an analogy, which we need to talk about, and that is the issue of security. There is no doubt that in the last 10 years, security in Nigeria has deteriorated. And if I were to talk to somebody in Lagos or even Abuja about coming to Gashaka-Gumti National Park in Adamawa or Taraba State, the first question they ask is it safe? And the reality is that a lot of Nigerians are scared about traveling across Nigeria these days because of security. And certainly we cannot expect, apart from Nigerians, we cannot expect outsiders to come to Nigeria unless they can be assured of security. So security is absolutely number one. And I think it has to be a priority for the government to address. And it has to be a priority for the tourism sector to address, because without security, there will be no tourism. The second major impediment to tourism in Nigeria is the lack of enabling infrastructure. How do people get from A to B easily in a cost-effective manner to go and see a tourist attraction? And then when they get there, where will they stay? Are there, affordable, decent, clean, comfortable places for them to stay? And can they access, go walking or wherever into these places, these natural areas, and be safe, have good food, have a great tourism experience, and be able to come home safely? These are some of the challenges in Nigeria. And, when you go to Kenya, when you go to Ghana, when you go to Rwanda, a lot of these countries have invested in tourism infrastructure and tourism initiatives to facilitate tourism in their countries. And this is something that we don't have in Nigeria, at least not of this, not comparable to many other African countries, which is a big, big challenge. But it is very, very important, I think, to invest in green spaces, invest in protecting those green spaces to make sure that there's good security, invest in those green spaces so there is the infrastructure to welcome tourists so they can have a safe and enjoyable experience, and invest in transport links between the different parts of the country so it is easy and practical to be able to access these places. These are all things that we need to do more of in Nigeria. I'll just give you an example. I've been contacted quite recently by a German couple who are traveling across all of West Africa, and they want to come to Nigeria. We want to bring them into the country, but my first thought is, if they're going to be driving across Nigeria, how are they going to deal with all the roadblocks? How are they going to deal with armed robbers, etc.? These are the things that you have to think about when people are coming from other parts of West Africa into Nigeria. How can we guarantee that tourists coming to Nigeria will be safe? They'll be able to move around the country without being harassed. And when they get to certain destinations, they have somewhere safe and comfortable, clean, affordable to stay at, so they can go walking or hiking in the mountains. How do we make sure that these things are in place? So there needs to be more investment into green spaces to provide this infrastructure. And we need to also have investment to make sure that these green spaces are safe, both for Nigerians and for people coming into the country.
Okay, if I may ask you, Mr. Tunde, how have you been able to ensure that when your clients come into at least explore our beautiful nature, that you help them with an aspect of security? What have you been doing from your own end? I know we need the government, so don't get me wrong, but while we're waiting for government to settle themselves and sort themselves out, what can we as individuals do to ensure that when it comes to this issue of security for our tourists, that we guarantee it for them?
Very, very good. I'm glad you asked me. So with Annie Foundation, as I said earlier, we are working in Gashaka Gumti National Park and in Okomu National Park. And the very, very first thing that we realized as an organization is that nobody will be able to come and visit these parks unless we can make sure that they are safe and secure. So with both Gashaka Gumti and with Okomu, we have invested very heavily in training, equipping, and deploying rangers that patrol right across the landscape of Gashaka Gumti National Park, right across the landscape in Okomu. And these rangers, who are government employees, but also supported by Annie Foundation, they are well armed with very, very good equipment, and they go on patrols to basically arrest loggers, bushmeat poachers, illegal cattle herders, people involved in kidnapping, people involved in petty banditry, and we hand these people over to the police. So we basically work with the government to make sure that there is law enforcement in these parks, and we make sure that through this security, whenever tourists can come to Gashaka Gumti National Park, or whenever tourists come to Okomu, we can basically guarantee their safety and security. Whenever tourists are, if tourists are to come to Gashaka or to come to Okomu, we have rangers who accompany these tourists so we can make sure they're safe. But the other thing that we are about to start doing is we're about to start investing in tourism lodges and tourism accommodation in Gashaka Gumti National Park and also
Nice.
Kumu, so that when tourists come to the park, they have somewhere to stay that is clean, affordable, with decent food, because you have to make sure that a national park has both the security but also the infrastructure to be able to receive tourists and give them a good tourism experience. We're still in the process of investing in this tourism infrastructure. So I wouldn't say that we're open for business yet, but we hope that in a year's time, certainly in Gashaka, and maybe 2 years' time in Okomu, we will have both. We will have the infrastructure for tourists to be able to come and stay and hike in the park. The focus has been very, very much on restoring security first of all. And once you have security, then you can then begin to invest in the infrastructure, and then you can open your doors. But there has to be a step-by-step approach, with security being the number one, because without security, you can't have tourism, basically.
Everything else is useless. That's very true. No matter how much you've prepared, you build, it's like you're cooking your food and you don't put it on fire. It's not go fire, it's not cook now. It's not go taste nice. So why are you cooking it? All right. So thank you so much for that, sir. And
you are
I
building
must
a
say
house
I'm quite
with no
impressed.
foundation.
Building has no foundation. What's that? It's going to break. It's not necessary. So Mr. Pelu, let me go to you, Mr. Pelu. Now I'm going to the aspect of marketing. I'm also going to come to Aisha in this one, but so just get ready. Mr. Pelu, in what way can Nigerian public, right? How can we be made to show more interest in the country's natural habitats and heritage? Because, like I said, I saw when Bethel and brought some of our young people to Mambila and they went to the rice plantation. I was like, are you sure this is Nigeria? No, now it can't be Nigeria. This looks like Thailand or Hawaii or something. So, how can we get Nigeria, the Nigerian public, to actually show more interest in our natural resources and heritage? Are you sure the same question will go to you when Mr. Pelu finishes saying it?
Okay, I didn't get the last part of the question, but I know you are asking me, how do we ensure that more Nigerians get to know about all of the tourist aspects that that Nigeria is blessed with? That is happening already, and it's a lot of thanks to the social media that we are now able to showcase more of what Nigeria has to offer. In the past, 20 years ago, we only had the newspapers and the magazines, maybe a little bit of TV, to tell a bit about what Nigeria has got to offer. But now, social media is everywhere. Everybody has a smartphone, and everybody has data. And by just scrolling, you can come across a lot of beautiful, beautiful attractions that Nigerians themselves are actually showing to the world. Well, Nigerians are seeing it, the rest of the world are also seeing it. And I think it's going to continue, like that. It's going to get better and better. And you've made reference to, you seeing what Bethel has done in Mambila. There are other examples. Recently, I was at a beach, a beach resort in Delta State, in Abraka. And I shared a video. And a couple of pictures of that place. And people were like, just like you were asking the other time, is this place in Nigeria or not? If not for social media, it will be difficult to showcase those places. And there are 1,001 of those kind of places in the country. So social media is always going to be our tool. But again, there's only so much that social media can do. Social media can actually let people know what is available. We also need to now begin to contend with all the other factors on the ground. Meaning, what are the state governments nationwide also doing to ensure that, because believe me, most of these attractions, beyond the ones that the private sector people have invested in, 70-80% of the attractions that we promote on social media it's the sole responsibility of government. The missing link in all the things that we've been doing all along is the fact that most state governments hardly care, for the attractions in their domain. And that puts a lot of pressure on not just individuals who are promoting this place or these places. It also makes it uncertain for people who like to visit to know what to expect. In a 1 minute clip on social media, in a couple of photo slides on social media, It doesn't give you all the information you need. You also still need to have other online infrastructure, like a website, for example, detailing what you should know before you go to a place. Who is going to be responsible for that? Yeah, there are travel publications doing a bit of that. But the responsibility also goes to the original managers of those places, which is government. But most governments are really not active when it comes. They have ministries of tourism and all of that. I don't see them as active as they ought to be. So as we promote, we also need the government at the state level, the federal government level, to complement what individuals are doing, what top promoters are doing, what travel agents are doing, to ensure that when Nigerians or visitors go to these places, they're not disappointed. We've had a couple of occasions where people have gone to places and they've been maltreated, basically because there is no proper management in place. You have security, you have front office people who don't understand that what they are dealing with is hospitality. There is a way you welcome people when they come to your attractions, which they have not been properly trained for. So there's still a lot that we need to do in addition to just promoting these places on social media. I hope that answers a bit of your question.
I have a question, Mr. Pelu. Why do you think our state governments are not, especially the state ministers of tourism, as you call them, and their tourism boards, why do you think they're not taking this thing serious? Is it like they don't see the money-making aspect of it?
If I can, I'm not going to mention any names, but going by examples we've seen in different states, it's a question of, or it's a function of having square pegs in round holes. Ministries of tourism, almost nationwide, seen as a compensatory appointment. It is not seen as serious business like oil and gas. You just appoint someone to be commissioner for tourism, arts and culture who has no clue about that industry. So the person spent their time, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years before they are changed, doing nothing. And we we continue to take 2 steps forward and 7 steps backwards.
Yeah.
Back in 1999, back in 1999 to 2004, the first time of our back to democracy, from President Obasanjo actually, gave us a full-fledged Ministry of Tourism. You will expect that it's a country that is serious will maintain that vision. Yeah, I think we kept it for a couple of years, and then afterwards we dropped the ball. The past administration actually cancelled the Ministry of Tourism, so we lost 8 years conservatively. Now, when you make a progress on one level and then you go back, it takes away from the progress that has been made. So it's purely people being in positions of authority at the helm of the ministries who have no clue about what the industry is about and essentially don't know what needs to be done. It's the examples are all over the country, and I just can't understand why small countries, the Republic of Benin, close to us there, is planning big for tourism. If you were to cross over the Benin Republic now, the Benin border, and you see what Benin Republic is doing, that place is going to be a major tourism draw in the next 2-3 years. Let's not even talk about Ghana. Ghana is already far ahead. It is not like they have more than the country than what we have. It's just a question of them finding the right people, putting them in those offices, and ensuring that they follow a particular plan. Nigeria had a master plan. We abandoned the master plan. Nobody talks about the master plan anymore. Lagos had its own master plan that was launched with a lot of noise and pomp and pageantry. Nobody talks about the master plan anymore. So essentially, a new commissioner has now been installed. She is also going to begin to start afresh. We are not going to grow tourism by doing all of that. Pretty and sad.
So that means what you're saying is that it's not just having the right people, right? It's also having the people who are ready to work and make it stay. I think the problem here we have in Nigeria is leaving a legacy. We start something good. Somebody does like example. Look at Tinapa right now. I served in Cross River before I imported myself back to Lagos. Look at Tinapa. I went to Tinapa and I was blown away. I was a copper then. This is how many years later? 12 years later. There's nothing to show. And I'm like, what is all this money that we invested? This will have been like the Disneyland of Nigeria, the Disneyland of West Africa. So it's not just having the right people there, it's having people who are able to continue the good work. So even if you come and take over from this person, what are you going to build on? And also, I think also the report shows that we have to have people who really love the industry and are ready to see growth. All right, so Aisha, let me go to you too. This is the same question. I want to please, yes, Mr. Tunde, I can see you raising your hand. I can see you raising your hand.
I, I think it's let answer. Go to Aisha.
Okay, Aisha, so for you, from what Mr. Phil has spoken about, he's spoken as a journalist, someone who has traveled around. Now you come, let's come towards the human relations aspect of this. How do you think we can actually solve this problem? Which Mr. Phil has spoken about the problem. How can we solve the problem of having the round pegs in square holes or square holes in triangular spaces? Please.
So I'm a fan of talking about solutions, and that's because it's so progressive. We already know part of the economic benefits of the tourism industry is the job creation aspect. So many people are missing out on how much more they can get because they look down on that industry. Part of what I do is to create a strong workforce in the industry. And, it's not just about just getting people to have jobs. Getting jobs comes with empowerment. Empowerment also leads to revenue generation, and then before you know, investment opportunities are all over the place. Other benefits are also like the social benefits. Be like what I think it was Tunde that was talking about it. How we need to improve this infrastructure, and security. Before you know it, you're also going to go into areas of education and most importantly, cultural preservation. So different ecotourism packages that are being created are actually require sustenance. They require to be kept. And now to promote it and to get people to accept it, of course, security cannot be overemphasized, but I think we can leverage off our self-marketing. So we're on this panel, we're talking about solutions. We should also be the marketers for tourism when we go out. We should go and say, oh, have you visited Zuma Rock? Have you gone to Uluma Rock? How many rocks have you visited? We should promote rock climbing as a thing. The good thing is hiking is becoming a thing. So little things that are, part of lifestyle is what I think we should do. We could also leverage off influencers. There are people who have very high influence on their social networks. I know that we're not going to only rely on social media. There are also people in traditional media who have a lot of influence in their network. We could also help pick out and encourage people to become advocates. It's really important to take a personal to run with it. As an advocate, you get to reach out to more people. You are known as it, and before people start to identify with the industry. Great news that we finally have a tourism ministry on its own that we can rely on. And I believe that this administration will be working towards that. And the good thing is I was part of the NESG team that was working towards policy drafting for the government. So a lot of great suggestions have been put out, a lot of mechanisms have been put together, and systems are being put in place to help ensure that we create, sustain, maintain, and not only for other people to come in. Charity begins at home. So we as Nigerians, I want us to also become volunteers to market and talk about these things. It should become a conversation. We shouldn't only talk about sports or politics. We should also talk about improvements and solutions. Talk about things where we can actually have impact. Things that what we say and how we end that conversation could be. Let's plan a trip to this place. Go check it out. Unfortunately, I've done that and I've had bad experiences with something as simple as no welcome center. So I'm coming to a different, and this is me that, it stays in Nigeria. I'm going to a different state, to a different town. I've never been, don't know anyone, all in the name of exploration and adventure, and there's no one to welcome me. Something as simple as that can go a long way, and it left a bad taste in my mouth till I left. So basically, I didn't even feel welcome. The locals are taking over. The people were doing other things, selling things, and the idea, the goal, the vision of establishing that place was obviously not considered. I would just like to round up by saying that we should also advocate to get more companies to see the tourism industry as a place where they could also, they could also be part of it. The social corporate responsibility shouldn't just be to sponsor events. It could also be to sponsor a cause, to be part of the campaign. So I'm hoping that, a lot of other companies start to see the importance of this, And last but not least, the ownership by local government. I know, in several states, there could be several destination spots, but the local governments are the ones that really would either make or break that growth. So having them take ownership of it, seeing every single person from any state, maybe for example, we've been talking about Taraba already, so I'll just use it as an example. Anybody from Taraba should say, hi, I'm from, when they say, where you from, everybody likes to know, hopefully not to stereotype, but like, hi, where you from? I'm from Taraba. You've been to Mambila? Like straight up. Is an excitement when you own it as well. And you're like, hey, I'm from, there's this place in Kogi State, Lokoja, it's called Mount Party. It has a very beautiful view. I went there once, I'm just like, all I could see was money-making ventures. I'm just like, how is the government advantage of it? The view, the rocky terrain going up, it was so beautiful, but nothing is being done. In short, going there is just like, only wayward people will go. No, it's a beautiful attraction. People, when we all went there for a picnic, was because it's birthday, and I was blown away. I don't even know if anybody has ever heard of Mount Party in Lokoja. So I'm just saying that, if we as the individuals from these places take it on, part of what we do would be sell our markets. And they say sell your market. We would be every one of us will be walking, talking marketers for a greater dream where we can have sustainable tourism that is open to the world. We're looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aisha. Thank you very much. And as we're wrapping this up now, I know that we are all talking about individuals. Mr. Pelu has said we should work as individuals. Bethel is doing its own. The Tunde is doing its own with Annie Foundation. But truth to talk, guys, we can't do all these things alone. We still need the government. Mr. Tunde, yes, you can raise up your hand, you can talk.
So I just want to say that one of the things that we all need to do in the tourism sector is to lobby the government. A big problem. Why does Ghana, why does Benin, why does Rwanda, why do they have more tourism than Nigeria? We in Nigeria don't have the right policy framework to encourage investment in tourism. You are not going to have a growth in tourism in Nigeria unless you have investment in the sector. And in order to have investment in the sector, government needs to know that it is important. Now, at the end of the day, government will follow the money. So we in the tourism sector need to lobby the government so that they understand how much money and how much revenue they could make from tourism. Because at the moment in Nigeria, we're focused on oil and gas, which we see as a major revenue generator. We in the tourism industry need to lobby the government, first of all, so that they can see how much money they can make from investment. And then we need to have the right policies in place to encourage investment. Just a couple of months ago, Annie approached a tourism investor in Mozambique. They've got these eco-lodges right across Southern and East Africa. And the first question they asked us was, what is the legislation in place to encourage investors to come into Nigeria? How do we go about getting an ecotourism concession? How long is ecotourism concession for? That legislation does not exist in Nigeria. So how can we expect people to come and invest in Nigeria when that legislation is not in place? The only incentive for government to put that legislation in place is if we in the tourism sector lobby government to put in place the right policies at the federal level and at the state level. So what can we as individuals do? We need to lobby government to make sure the right policies are in place. And we need to make our case based on money, because it is when there is money involved that government will, take interest. Same thing in the state at the state level. We need to show them the money and then therefore show them what they need to put in place in order to unlock that revenue. I think that policy, that legislative aspect is really, really important. It's what we don't have in Nigeria, which other countries in Africa have. That's the first thing. And then the second thing is education and training. If government knows that money is to be made, they will educate and train their staff in customs They will educate and train the police, educate and train people in communities to welcome and receive tourists if they know there is money to be made. So I think we have a big responsibility to lobby government and to advocate for the right kind of policies to be put in place and the right kind of training of all government staff, because they know how much money there is to be made. So it's really, for me, it's about money, and showing that there's money and getting people to take interest in the sector because there's money to be made.
In fact, permit me to sing, money, money, money. It's so funny. It's a rich man's world without money. Like, honestly, but thank you very much for that, Tunde. And like Aisha said, both Aisha and I were part of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. It's a non-governmental, non-governmental group that has people from different industries who are trying to help work with the government to create policies. And I remember, Aisha, if I'm right, that the leader of our tourism group, the thematic group for tourism, is very keen on rural tourism, very keen on ecotourism, because, like she said, we have these beautiful resources. If countries like Kenya, even our Ghana, our cousins Ghana, if they're promoting the little nature that they have and they're making money from it, why can't we do the same thing? And the only way we can do this is to ensure that we have the right policies in place, and then, of course, have the right training. I know in Rwanda, they do this gorilla trek thing, and they do this gorilla naming ceremony. Like some few weeks ago, I think this fine actor, what's his name again?
Idris Elba and his wife went to the naming ceremony of a gorilla in Rwanda.
He came for a naming ceremony of a gorilla. Like, they did not come for our naming ceremony. Now gorillas only come. But that is the way they're promoting ecotourism. And we need to start seeing that we have gorillas here ahead in Calabar. What are we doing? They were killing them and using them as bushmeat. And you don't blame the locals, because that's how they make their money. If we cannot show that this gorilla that you're killing it, that it will bring in more money to your economy. When we train them, that's where this human resources training we talked about, Aisha and Mr. Tunde, is very important. If you don't train the locals, they will not know the benefits. Then, of course, government has to also see, okay, this is making us money like oil and gas. What can we do to invest in it? We have not done enough, if I may permit me to say, Mr. Pelu, I don't think we have done enough in telling the government how much money we need to make through this tourism eco thing. And it starts with having the right policies in place. And hopefully NESG will be working with, that's the Tourism and Travel Hospitality Group, we'll be working with the Ministry of Tourism to see how we can draft out these policies, not just to draft them out, implement them. Because like Mr. Pelu has said, we have the tourism master plan during Obasanjo's time. What did we do with it? I even heard it was worked with the United Nations World Tourism Organization. They worked with them, and today we did nothing. So our hope is that we individuals who are passionate about this, we will implement them and make them happen. And Mr. Tunde, you already answered the question I wanted to ask you. That is what is the role of government in promoting ecotourism? And you've answered it well. But if I may ask you further, I know that you're doing something with Edo State, right? You're doing something with Edo State to manage the Okum National Park. You mentioned that, right? How are you able to reach out to them to let them allow you to use these resources to, I don't know, like, just share with us, what did you do? How did you get them interested so that we too, we can learn and go to our own government and let them know how, I'm in Anambra State. I know Anambra has plenty land. We are not using them. Please come and share the tips you did to get the government, Edo State government, to get you to do that.
Thank you. So we devoted quite a lot of time and energy into, first of all, spending time with the Edo State governor so that he could understand how much revenue could come from tourism in Edo State. And one of the things we made very, very clear was that security in Edo State is really, really important. So the Edo State government have been fantastic in basically giving resources to Annie to improve security in the park, but we've also started to work closely with the state security agencies, the police, the army, NSCDC, etc., to make sure that there is security in the region around the national park. And we have now started working with the various state agencies, Forestry Commission, Ministry of Tourism, etc., to see how we can make tourism a reality. Edo State is now looking at its tourism policies. And we're beginning to look at the the human resources around tourism in Edo State, but there's a long way to go because we're starting from a very low base. But I would say that lobbying the state governor and lobbying the state agencies and really making sure the right policies in place has to be a very important starting point. And it really is about showing them what the potential revenue is to the state and how that can benefit both the state and the local people. And training is so important. We brought a local, I brought a friend of mine from the UK to Taraba State, and she got harassed at the airport by customs. She got harassed in Taraba State, in Jalingo Airport, even though she's already within the country. She got harassed by customs people again. So we actually went to meet the immigration people and the customs people to say, look, you cannot be harassing every white or Igbo person that you see coming into Nigeria thinking you're going to make money out of them. This is not how we welcome visitors. And we spent quite a lot of time getting them to see that they need to treat visitors differently. So there's a training and orientation part of it, but a lot of it is around speaking to government and letting them understand how much revenue they can make from this sector, and then working with them to then put in place the wherewithal to make investment attractive.
Awesome. I like that. So that means it's showing them the numbers so that they know that okay, these numbers make sense. And that means a lot of paperwork had to be done to make sure this happened, if I'm correct.
Yes. We've signed a 30-year agreement with the state government to try and promote tourism in the state. So, and you need 30 years because these changes don't happen overnight.
They don't. Then, Bethel, if I may ask you, I know the first time I saw Mr. Tunde, you invited him for one of your webinars where you talked about national parks. Now, why was that important to you? Okay, I know why, but I want you to tell the public. Why was that important to you? And I remember you also brought in a government official to be part of that. How did it pan out at the end of the day? Was it worth the while?
Okay, thank you so much. For tourism to thrive, 4 hands are needed. The government that will create an enabling environment, the tour operators, the private players that will market or make this place known, the tourists that will visit, and lastly, the locals, the landowners. The last but not the least are the investors. All the things that are needed, these are the ones that will bring them in. Now, why we organize that talk then, and we are bringing the government, bringing the national park, bringing the commissioner, is just to see how we can bring all these people together to let them know what they have to bring in to make tourism thrive. And if I will pass this as a message, I think that is what we need to bring up. Let every sector that should be involved, let them be involved. As it is now in this country, the locals are not even included at all. There is nobody bringing them together. There is no means of getting to them. We just visit their site and we leave. So all this has to come in place if tourism will actually find its place. For example, now the event that we are coming up with, the first thing, that's Nigeria Hiking Challenge. The first thing we have to do is just to make the community see the value they have in the mountain that's been in their community for years. A lot that can happen if people are coming in just to come and see this mountain. You have history as well. And to smoothen the whole journey, the first endorsement we have is from the palace. So all arms has to come together for tourism to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bethel. If you may, this was the next question and the final one. I know you talked about it just now. What projects are you doing for the ecotourism? And tell us more about this hiking challenge and why and how you feel it's going to promote ecotourism and green investment in Nigeria. Have the floor.
Okay, thank you so much. Nigeria Hiking Challenge. is a new dimension in tourism. In fact, there's a write-up I put up, paradigm shift in tourism sector. The essence of Nigeria Hiking Challenge is just to put everything in place to promote ecotourism. So we'll be having outdoor activities, which primarily should be the work of the Ministry of Youth and Sports. We'll be bringing that in just to promote ecotourism. So that line that we have for Nigeria Hiking Challenge, we'll be celebrating the hero of Kiriji War. Kiriji War happened, that's the longest civil war of mankind that lasted for 16 years, ended in 1893. Less are being said about this this war. So with Nigeria Hiking Challenge, we'll be coming up to let people know more. Not that alone, we'll be unveiling the history of Okemesi Ekiti. Okemesi has a history of more than 800 years that is not even well spread out. When we were there for pre-tour, one of the elders in the community was telling us that the community was founded in 1904. One of my team members now said, if the community was founded in 1904, how come the Kiriji War happened in 18th century and Okemesi led the war? And if an elderly person is giving that kind of distorted history, I want to imagine what will be passed to the coming generation. So with Nigeria Hiking Challenge now, we'll be setting the history straight. What happened from the beginning? Not that alone, we'll be visiting Palace Historic Tour. You know, the last time I was with the king to discuss this, he was telling me that there's a particular seat that they've been using for more than 200 years. And when I was to confirm that with the palace historian, he said there are more, even more than 500 years of usage. All these things is what we'll be unveiling with Nigeria Hiking Challenge. Now, how will this affect ecotourism in Nigeria? Okemesi has not been among the places that people put in their bucket list. Why? They don't know what this place has. Agbono that will be hiking has a cave inside, and the history of it that during wars in those days, that is where this community used to go and hide. From there, their men will go and fight. But people don't know. But with Nigeria Hiking Challenge now, we make this place known, then people will keep coming. People will keep coming. And this is what we intend to give to the community as a project. We want to make a step up the mountain. And on the mountain now, we create a place where people can sit down, relax, and then rest. This is what's going to happen if that is coming to place. Definitely, when people climb up, they want to sit down and rest. There will be somebody selling palm wine. I will not mention bushmeat anyway. There will be someone.
Please don't.
There will be someone selling goat meat for them. So the community will be earning from that.
Yeah.
So one way or the other, there will be job creation for the community. People coming from Lagos to come and hike will not buy water from Lagos. Definitely they buy from the community. So this will be a good way to promote sustainable tourism. And then coming November 24th to 26th, we'll be making it happen. God helping us.
Yay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Bethel. I think what I love about this is talking about the 3 P's of sustainable tourism, and that is people, planet, and profit. We're trying to bring people to look at what we have, enjoy it. Then, of course, we're loving and managing our planet and making it look beautiful, even when we're promoting it. And then, of course, the locals are making money from it, and it's helping our nation in general, not just the locals and everything. Aisha, to wrap yours up, I know you also have a project. Oh, apologies. I also know you have a project that has to do with sustainable tourism and eco-tourism, right? If I'm right, can you share more about that?
Yeah, sure. But majority of our projects are linked and focused on creating awareness. So through education and marketing campaigns. So depending on what it is that most people have tried to do in the past, we're just trying to create an awareness linked to behavior change and then linking to marketing campaigns. So basically, we have to allow people understand history, why they should know where they're coming from, what these things signify, and then linking it to, you know, that awareness program and then marketing campaigns. So we've done a few of this in a few West African countries, 9 West African countries actually. And unfortunately, Nigeria was not one of those. So what I'm going to be doing next year would be to carry out the campaign on Nigeria alone, because the funds we had could only take on smaller companies, smaller countries. So we had Gambia on the list, we had Cape Verde. So basically what we did was go to learn what they're doing. But Cape Verde is doing a great job when it comes to sustainable tourism in Cape Verde. So I explored 2 of their islands. Santiago Island was one of the, I think it's the capital where Praia is. And I realized that they are very conscious people when it comes to some of them go to the beach with a bin bag so that if they have to litter, they take with. And then for those who don't have that, bin cans, trash cans, different corners, you know, the bathrooms, the toilet, the water system, you know, they're very, very intentional because they're small people and they have multiple islands. I think a total of 10 islands. So I went in and I just like, what have you guys done differently? And I realized that a lot of things that they did that we're not really leveraging on over here is the awareness campaign and making it part of people's life. So it's not just, oh, because I'm going to the beach, I should take a trash can and not litter. So basically, do not litter is your mantra in your everyday life. So basically, there's still that throwback or touchback to our personal life if we can treat the environment we find ourselves very well. So a lot of things we're doing is really, really linked to behavior change and then creating that consciousness, reawakening their minds, getting them aware because most people do not know. So another thing we're doing is also promoting destinations in different states. So we talk about the states, talk about the different things, and hopefully I intend to partner with the panelists over here who are already doing amazing things in different states to help promote that conversation, promote the awareness within the state, within the country, and within Africa. And of course, the rest of the world will come to us. All right, I think I should stop
Thank you so much, Aisha. I like that. I think that's one of the reasons I brought you here. I wanted you to share the way that it's not just about us packaging tours, it's how we're going to train and work with the locals themselves to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So, Mr. Pelu, to wrap up with you too, sir, what project are you doing that's promoting ecotourism and how can we support you now?
Okay, so I mentioned something that I'm currently working on, though it's not ecotourism focused. It's purely just promoting. Yeah, there will be content in there that will showcase some of our ecotourism assets. It's an anthology that I'm working on. I started to work on it at the early part of the year. And basically what I've done is to identify other writers, you know, who have traveled around the country and who have shared their experiences through writing. So I'm bringing all those voices together, about 16 of them. I was hoping to make it 20, but I think we have about 16 now. So when the book is ready, Nigerians will be able to read from 16 different people about their experiences in different parts of the country. It's the volume 1. There's going to be subsequent volumes, for that project. On the practical side of things, I will be introducing, and I'm saying that for the very first time here, I'm introducing a series of walking tours in different cities in Nigeria. And those walking tours are going to be about history, culture, and the environment. So we are starting off with about 5 cities, and then those will be our pilots. And then afterwards, we'll introduce a couple of other cities. Those cities are places that I've been to this year. Of course, I have to specially mention Calabar. Many people, when they hear about Calabar, they always think that Calabar is all about the carnival and the 1-month jamboree in December. It's a very unfortunate perspective to have about a state like that. Aside from the Gashaka-Gumti National Park, which Mr. Morakinyo is doing so very fantastically about, I think one of the most overlooked green space, in a state in Nigeria is Cross River. That place is so it's all green, and I feel that it's unfair for Nigerians not to know about a place like that between January and November, and all they all plan for is December. So I'm trying to change all of that with this, these walking tours. It's in Calabar, it's in Jos, I did some in Lagos, and then a couple of other cities. So the details will come out eventually, but I just wanted to make sure that I announce it here as we mark this conversation on the World Tourism Day.
I'm feeling so proud of myself. Like, this has been announced here. Whoopee! And if I must say, Mr. Pelu, and you know, I actually did my camp in Cross River, and I remember a time I had to go to my place of primary assignments where they posted me. I had to cross.
What's happened?
So our host is gone.
Yes, I think she's coming back. She's coming back. It's network.
It's network,
it's network. One of the infrastructural challenges we were talking about.
I'm back.
Yes, and I hope it's not that we are. Okay, she's back. Okay, all right.
Technology and its beauties. But anyway, like I said, I had to take a bike from the place I crossed the river from, which has to use a canoe. And it was a 1 hour drive all the way down to where I was set. And the Okada was speeding. All I was seeing was green, 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 green. I'm like, there's so much land here. We don't know about this. What's happening here? It's beautiful. And I like that you want to do this because it's going to also let people know more about all these other places that have these things. Okay, so to just wrap up, I think we're done. But I want everybody to say one thing and then we wrap up. Mr. Tunde, what's your last word concerning promoting ecotourism in Nigeria?
I just want to say that, you are welcome to come to Gashaka Gumti National Park and to Okomu National Park. We think there are two jewels in the crown of Nigeria. And we're determined that both Gashaka Gumti and Okomu should become household names in the next few years and be some of the among the foremost tourism destinations in Nigeria. So you are welcome to both places. We hope to see you there. And I certainly want to work with everybody on this panel to make sure that we achieve this dream of making ecotourism a reality in Nigeria.
Thank you, Mr. Tunde. Aisha, you're next.
All right, thank you very much. So I think for me, it would really be about creating an environment that we can leave for generations to come. So I'm hoping that everybody watching this, I can create some kind of consciousness in your mind, that we stay aware when we go out, the way we are, the way we behave, the way we treat the environment around us, and then to also become curious, that, we want to incite that curiosity inside of you. Go and explore. Many people are coming outside, even from outside the country, from outside the continent. And, there's still that waiver that you sign in most countries when you're coming to Nigeria that, do not go, but if you're going to go, please sign this. We want to change that narrative. So, and it only starts with us. So let's first of all start taking care of our spaces. Let's start being more conscious. I'm hoping that the government also joins us, but they will only join when they already smell the money. And we can make it. We can make it without that. I'm still in today's line. It makes so much sense. That way, we become more conscious and we start behaving intentionally and start maximizing all the beautiful wealth that we have been blessed with. Most unfortunately, we've been so focused on one aspect, but we have natural resources all around us that we can explore and we can also enjoy as people, as a community. And I like that, what Bethel is doing is really affecting people's lives. It's also opening the mindsets. I really love the hiking challenge, and I pray it's going to work out great. If I can, I would love to be there. I might not hike, but I will be cheering you on. I will be passing water and all the necessary things. But I think everything's doing great. Mr. Palumi, I love your idea with the 16. Look, don't be upset. I already gave it. I coined a name for it. The 16 voices of tourism. That way you're listening to different perspective. Please, after the book, let's start talking about how to make us a movie about it. Netflix, we're waiting. Talking about how to market these things and experiences. It escalates when you hear somebody's story and you feel it. You're just like, I'm gonna go there. That's how most of those other countries have done it. They've gotten people to go there and they say, oh, listen to success stories. We have a lot and much more that have not been explored. I went to Ohum in Enugu State. It's so beautiful. You know, there's this cave and you have to go to the water. Oh, I really like that part. But
Of
then again, it was,
cave.
you know, so I'm hoping that I can excite a lot of people listening to this, get them all excited. So you know what? I want to go explore those places. You know, we're in here, we know how to manage ourselves. Before we bring people in, let's also start taking advantage of these things. Let's amplify the message. I would like to stop
Let's
there.
amplify the message. Perfect. Then Mr. Pelu, your last words, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Nena, for hosting this conversation. It's really been enlightening listening to fellow speakers share their thoughts and their experiences. So my final word to everybody listening is this. Whenever you think travel, think Nigeria. And since we're talking about green spaces, the good news that just came out from the government is that the National Assembly has now ratified the 10 new national parks, proposed by the executive. So in addition to the 7 existing national parks, we now have 17 national parks in Nigeria. I want to encourage everybody who is listening that look, make it like a bucket list agenda, or make it like a point of duty. I mean, a point of duty or whatever. That look, try and visit at least one national park in this country in a year. There's nothing you are going to see in East Africa that we don't have in Nigeria. So please visit at least one national park out of the 17 that we have in a year. And I think our country will be the better for it. You will also be the better for it because of the experiences you're going to have in that national park. Thank you very much.
And to add to that part, please, this is Mr. Tunde's phone first, the one in Edo State. That's National Park. That will be in your pocket list, please. And Bethel, your last word so that we can wrap this up.
Okay, I was actually raising my hand because there's a contribution I would like to make. So let me do that before my last word. Now, the contribution is Nigeria is not as unsafe as it is published. We need to start changing the narrative. I was telling someone from Bali, inviting him to come to Mambila, and the person is talking about insecurity from Bali to Mambila. I was like, just within the state, what are you telling me? So Nigeria is not as unsafe as we read it on the pages of newspaper. I'm not disputing insecurity, but we have it more on the pages of paper than what is happening. I have a couple of guests inviting them from Lagos to Mambila. When they talk about coming by road, they were like, this is a journey of going to die. I said, just give it a try. And they came by road, returned by road. Nothing happened. I led a group of white people from Lagos through Mambila to Cameroon. We spent 10 days driving. The only thing we saw was bad road and then lot of checkpoints. So I'm not saying there is no insecurity, but it is much on the pages of papers. And funny enough, these are the people that didn't even come to the north. They will be telling you north is not safe. I've been in the north for years. It's been home. So my parting word is this too. Is a new way to go in promoting ecotourism. I just don't know what to say then. Just join us for this edition. And lastly, let me invite you to the most beautiful part of West Africa. That is Mambila Plateau. Oh, let me tender this open apology to Mr. Tunde. When I was inviting him to Mambila, and he said, what am I coming there to do? I said, come and see nature. And he said, you don't tell me that. Anyway, apology. And once again, sir, come to Mambila, come and see nature. Everyone, you are all invited. Thank you so much for this opportunity. God bless you, Auntie Nena. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bethel. Oh, God, Bethel. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Pelu. Thank you, Mr. Tunde. Thank you, my darling Aisha, for being here and for sharing your passion for ecotourism and sustainable tourism. So I want to leave you with this. if we want to promote sustainable tourism and ecotourism in Nigeria, we need to do 4 things, the 4 P's of tourism: product, price, place, promotion. We have the product, which is example, the hiking challenge, Mr. Tunde's Edo's Okun National Park project, Mr. Pelu's book about promoting tourism, Aisha's work is a product. So what are the prices? How much would it cost to do this thing? What are the places we're going to do them, and how do we promote it? It's very important. These 4 P's are going to help us create what we need to help our economy grow and promote tourism, especially ecotourism and sustainable tourism in Nigeria. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and please reach out to these amazing people and see how you can work with them and promote what they're doing. God bless you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.